It has probably been the worst start to any chili growing season that I've ever had. And that's mainly down to La Nina and El Nino. And thankfully, this is the final year of that cycle. So if you don't know, the El Nino and La Nina is basically a climate pattern that happens every 2 to 7 years. It's not been great for weather, and you would have been feeling that effect not only here in the UK, but also over in the US and many other places as well. So hopefully next year we're going to get back to normal and things will be a lot better and more predictable. This year there's just no predictability whatsoever. That doesn't say that I haven't had any growth. I have had some decent growth in some places, and it's part of the reason that you'll see I have smaller pots behind me here. Now, I did get asked about this in a few videos recently, why I am growing in such small pots. Actually, it was last week's video. And I'm doing a bit of an experiment, but also I kind of knew that this season was going to be a little bit iffy. So yeah, I went with the smaller pots. These are all 3-litre pots behind me. Now, the reason we do that is because I want to ensure that I get harvests from some of my plants. So in Big Chump, the large greenhouse back there, I'm using my normal size pots, so 10 litres, 12 litres, that sort of thing. And then inside Micro Chump and Little Chump, down the other side, I'm using the 3-litre pots as my final pots. And you can see the results. We'll go through and take a look at some of my plants. We'll also take a look at my CCLemonPiri cross. I was reminded yesterday during the live stream that you guys haven't seen an update from it for a little while, so we'll definitely show you that today. But you can see here why I'm in 3-litre pots. Look at all the flowers coming through on these smaller plants. Yes, they are smaller, but I am kind of guaranteed to be getting some flowers and also some fruit. So like we can see over here, this is a banana pepper, and I believe that one's a banana pepper as well. And you can see big old fruit coming through on here, which if it was in a bigger pot, then you wouldn't be seeing that at all. And this is not a chili, of course. This is my marigolds, which help bring in the ladybugs and the hoverflies, and they do a great job. You can see the plants are looking pretty healthy. Lots of pods coming through. This is a KS Lingria. That is stunning. Look at those leaves. Beautiful. This is Testarossa Orange, so Capsicum chinense. Looking forward to seeing fruit come through. See all this new growth down the bottom there, but these leaves at the top are stunning. And I did see another big fruit in here when I was in earlier. This over here. So have a look at that. That is a lipstick, I believe. Yeah, I haven't grown this one before, and I'm quite keen to see what it looks like, but meant to be bright red, and yeah, see what it tastes like as well. But I'm sure that will be ripening up within the next few weeks or so. Another very interesting one is this one over here. This is sent in by a viewer, and it is called a Calabrian or Calabrian. And yeah, you can see it over there. From the Calabria region of Italy. Now, the ones that I've looked up online don't look like these little marbles. So it does look a bit different to what I've seen online, but I'll still give them a go. I'm sure they look pretty regardless. And it's all about the taste though with these ones. This is definitely something I am interested to taste. There's another big fruit coming through there. What is this? Mirasol. So another Capsicum annuum. So obviously you expect Capsicum annuum and also Capsicum frutescens to be fruiting a lot sooner than other plants. There's another Calabrian. These little round things, little marbles. You do expect them to fruit a lot earlier, but when you have them in smaller pots, you're kind of forcing them to fruit much earlier than you would assume. So the season, we've still got probably 3 months of active growing time, depending on how the season actually goes in terms of weather. So I'm not too worried. I'm pretty sure those plants that we've just seen there will probably double, maybe even triple in size by the end of the season, and we should get a lot more fruit. But at least this way I'm guaranteed to be getting fruit. Now we're going to take a look. These plants are in similar size pots as the ones we've just seen. And if you are crossing chilies like I am, you obviously want to try and get multiple generations in a year. I was hoping to get at least 2 generations this year from my CCLemonPiri, but with the weather being the way it's been, that's not really viable. However, I am going to be getting fruit off the plants that are in here a lot quicker than the ones that are inside Big Chump. So I'll show you one of my CCLemonPiri F4s that are in here, and then I'll show you, well, the same plant started at the same time over in Big Chump. Oh, lots of flowers and fruiting going on there, and big old fruit over here. Let's take a look. This over here is my CCLemonPiri. So the leaves still have a little bit of this asymmetry to it, where they're not perfectly symmetrical, but not as much so as the first and second generation. Also, the flowers are far more consistent. So if we take a look, I'll just pluck one of these off actually. So if we have a look there, we can see that the flower is green on the inside, 5 petals, and then white on the outside. Beautiful looking and very consistent. In the first batch that I got when I was first starting this out, so first and second generation, all the flowers were different. So these ones here, you can see, hopefully it zooms in there or focuses in, but you can see there this flower is 5 petal as well. There were some 5 petals, 6 petals, 4 petals even on my first and second generation, but these are definitely stabilizing a bit. We've got some fruit starting out here. You can see that one over there is pollinated, so that should be fruiting very soon, and we should have some fruit to see by the next update video. But if I take you across to Big Chump, which we'll go and have a look now straight away, you'll notice that it looks quite a bit different. This is the CCLemonPiri that's inside Big Chump. Started at exactly the same time, and you can see obviously being in a bigger pot has made it grow bigger, but notice the lack of flowers. I haven't picked any off here, I promise. There's no flowers taken off. You can see some of the leaves have dropped off, but that is to be expected, like I mentioned in a previous video of mine. But you can see here this plant is quite a bit bigger, but just no flowers, and that is all down to the pot size. So this year we'll start putting out fruit probably in the next, well, not fruit, flowers. We'll start putting out flowers within the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, probably more towards the 3-week time frame. And obviously it's going to be a heck of a lot bigger than the one I just showed you. In fact, you can see a couple flowers starting out, but nothing like the one we just saw earlier. Hopefully that example has driven it home how important pot size actually is. If you are growing chilies for the first time and you really want to get a harvest, which, come on, all of us do, then you really want to maybe think about smaller pot size. If you have a shorter season than maybe we do, smaller pot size. A lot of people go and rush to get a 5-gallon pot, or, you know, a 30-liter pot, or whatever it is, because they think, well, bigger plant, more pods. Yeah, great, but if your season isn't long enough, you're not going to get to the point where it's going to produce pods. And even if it does, it might be way too late in the season for those pods to actually ripen up. So yeah, go with a smaller pot size, unless you have a much longer season, or maybe you have the strategy of growing a massive plant this year so that you can overwinter it and start from a bigger plant next year. That'll work as well, but yeah, don't rush to go big pot sizes, especially when you're starting out growing. It's just going to lead to disappointment. This plant is just stunning. This is one that I saw a little bit earlier and just fell in love with those beautiful little flowers. It is the Flor Morado. It is a capsicum baccatum. The bacatums tend to have such beautiful flowers, so many different colors, but look at that. That's just a stunning little flower, and lots of fruit coming on it as well. If you are in a colder region, then bacatums are a great option. So are capsicum pubescens as well. Those are interesting plants too. But if you do have a colder region and you don't have a greenhouse maybe, then this is a good option. They just seem to fruit no matter what, and they fruit late into the season. They aren't exactly my favorite tasting chilies, but just for the pure looks alone, I grow them absolutely every year. Stunning, beautiful little flowers. I think this is another basket of fire, and you can see some ripe chilies down there. Let's confirm. It's either a basket of fire or, yeah, it is basket of fire. So basket of fire, capsicum annuum, and yeah, lots of little pods coming through. This here, when it's in full bloom, nice bushy bush, then you'll see all these pods popping out and looking, well, literally like a basket of fire. This one here is unmistakable. It is the Buena Mulata. Buena Mulata, I don't know how you pronounce it properly, but stunning chilies, and also beautiful flowers. So this one here is capsicum annuum. It's not typical to have purple flowers for capsicum annuum, but this is just a beautiful plant. They start off this color here and they go through a few different colors before finally ending up red, if I remember correctly, and they taste pretty decent as well, similar to cayenne, but definitely a plant that I like growing each year because it's just beautiful. And they also fruit very, very quickly. So I mentioned capsicum pubescens. This one hasn't started putting out any flowers yet, and I know it's capsicum pubescens because of these furry leaves. You can see it, and also you can feel it. Which one is this? Ricotta Marlene, I think? No, Ricotta Costa Rica. So these are beautiful as well. The seeds of capsicum pubescens tend to be black, and the flowers also stunning, but it does take a little bit longer in the season to actually get fruit, but they do really well in the cold climate. Let's take a look around. Look at some of our super hots. I did see one over here, which is interesting. You don't normally see this from a super hot, but this is apparently a super hot. We'll know for sure when it starts fruiting, but this one here, you normally expect super hots to grow a little bit shorter. This is the Blood Ghost, and it's from Red Dragon. Pretty leaves and good growth, and you can see that it's starting to bush out a little bit at the bottom here. Hopefully the rest of it does the same. We've got some flowers coming through as well, tiny little flowers. We'll see what those fruits are like, but the Blood Ghost looks beautiful in the pictures, so we'll see how this goes. But this could end up being quite a big plant. Here's another one of those Calabrians, these little marbles. So at least they're consistent with the ones that I've got. I don't know if it's going to be the same as the ones that people grow out in Italy, but still, I'm loving it so far. I love the round pods. Anything a little bit different is awesome. I think this must be another super hot. You can see by the leaves and also those tiny little flowers. What is it? Warped Reality. This is one from Chubby's Chillies. You'll be pleased to see that it's doing well. So this is a cross that my friend Lewis has created. Chubby's Chillies on Instagram. Go check him out. He's got a few interesting pods, and he's actually got some ripe super hots that I've seen on Instagram, which is impressive. But yeah, it's doing quite well there. I'm sure Lewis would love to see that update. Let's go take a look at Big Chump, see how the plants in the bigger pots are doing, and also take a look at my monster chili plants. So I've actually got 3 of them this year. 3, not 4. And 2 of them are Dorset Nagas, and one of them is a little bit of a surprise, which I won't spoil it just yet. I'll tell you later on in the season. I'll show you the plant, and you can take guesses if you want to try and guess what it is. But I'm looking forward to seeing how big it can actually get. And if it gets as big as I think it will, I'm only closing the doors, not because I'm trying to keep the warmth in, because I'm sweating. It's because the chickens keep coming here and they poop all over the place. But yeah, so the one that I'm growing, if it gets as big as I think it'll get, maybe I'll switch over to doing that one as the monster plant that I do each year. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, it needs to be an impressive plant. So I'll let you know later on in the season what exactly that is. On this side of the greenhouse, we have all capsicum chinenses. Some of them not doing so great. In fact, this one looked like it was dead just the other day. All the leaves had fallen off, but you can see a lot of new growth coming through. So I'm actually going to leave it, let it do its thing. It's obviously been set back quite a bit with all this leaf drop. Don't know what happened. We had a couple like that. There's another one over here. You can see it doesn't look great. You can see all those leaves dropped off, but that growth has come within the last few days when we've had a little bit of sunshine. This is probably the worst of them, but even these are showing some new growth, and I don't want to throw this away. This is actually, if I remember correctly, is a Kangstar Lemon Starburst. Here's another one that's looking a little bit iffy. But with this new growth coming through, it could surprise us later in the season. But the rest of them here are looking decent. Some of my real super hots are in here. Some of the scary ones that I'll be making some extreme hot sauces and also trying on video for you guys. They're all along this way. So let's take a look at a couple random ones. This one here, where's the tag? Yellow Scotch bonnet. That's not an extreme one. Let's try find one that actually is an extreme. What do we got here? Bikino black. No, not an extreme, but it is going to be a beautiful one. Tiny little black pods. I did the Bikino yellow and Bikino red last year, but I did not do the Bikino black. Let's see. This one. Naga Viper Brain, definitely a hot one. We have quite a few Primatali chocolate, gold, red, and I think that's all. And of course the 7-pot Primo. That's looking stunning. Got some flowers coming through. We in fact have some super hot pods coming through already, and I'm sure that within the next month we're going to have some ripe chilies. I think these are going to be the first super hots that I'll be trying this year. It is a 7-pot Bubblegum Naga Red, I believe. Let me confirm. Yeah, so it's a 7-pot Bubblegum 7 Naga Red. Really interested to see what it looks like, but also I believe it is extremely hot. So I'm sure by the next live stream we will have a ripe pod off of this plant and I'll be, well, eating it live. Now you may be wondering, why is this one fruiting so soon after what I told you before about smaller pots? Well, when I potted this up, like quite a few of my plants in the greenhouse here, I potted up a little bit too late, so they were already flowering, and I didn't bother taking the flowers off. So you can see that there's not a lot of flowering happening on the upper leaves, the new leaves that have come through since I've potted it up, but obviously a few have got through and turned into fruit. And you could take them off, and that will stimulate growth elsewhere, but I'd rather have some early ripe pods instead. Here's another one that was potted up quite late, so you can see there actually was some fruit on it. It's not doing very well. After potting up, we had a couple of days of extreme sunshine that this did not do well in, but you can see all that new growth coming through. So I'm actually leaving it. As miserable as it looks from afar, if you come up close, you can see that it is recovering. So I'm just leaving it be, and we'll have a lovely little plant there as the season goes on. There's another one that all the leaves fell off. This was looking very bare about 3 days ago. All the leaves came off, but still a few coming off. But you can see the new growth on there, lots of new growth, and this should establish itself quite nicely. As long as that root system is good, then we should have a very nice sized plant there. So I had a few like that. Because of this weather going in and out of being cold and then hot, cold and hot, the plants haven't been able to acclimatize as well as they normally would when I take them outside in the early sunshine. So yeah, they battle quite a bit. Part of this whole climate issue we've had this year. But you can see these other plants are looking beautiful. Some of them are doing really nicely, lovely and bushy. Believe this is a jalapeno. Am I correct? No, it's not. It's a pepperdew. But that's beautiful. Pepperdew is another Baccatum, and I am selling seeds. I've still got some seeds available in the store for these. Stunning, stunning plant, and some of the nicest tasting fruit. It's the only Baccatum that I actually really enjoy eating. It tastes amazing pickled. Making my mouth water just thinking about it. I am using my autopot system again this year, and the plant's taking a little while to establish themselves again. Not the fault of the autopot, but because I potted them up quite late. But they're settling in. I haven't had too much leaf drop here, and yeah, we'll see how these plants do. At the moment I'm not feeding because I am using my soil mix, which is very rich. I'm just using plain water from there. We'll start feeding maybe after this water has completely finished, and then we'll do a light feed. And let's turn over to our monsters. So you can see here, this is the 60-litre pot. Is that? No, sorry, this is the 90-litre pot. Over there is the 160-litre pot, and there's a little surprise plant which is a 60-litre pot. So this here is the Dorset Naga. That's also a Dorset Naga. Way behind where they were when I did my first year of doing the monster plant, but they're looking healthy, and I'm sure they'll still be quite impressive plants. Might not hit 7 foot with them again this year, but you do what you can do. The plant is looking extremely healthy. These leaves are looking stunning, no sign of any problems or any deficiencies. We've got some flowers coming through already, but yeah, I've got a lot of growing to do. Over there is my surprise. My surprise monster. We'll see how this one does. Some beautiful big flowers. Look at that. I'll give you some idea of what it might be. And massive, massive leaves. But yeah, I'm quite keen to see how this progresses. I think I need to start supporting it with some canes or some string, because that's starting to lean a little bit. And then the real big monster is over here in the 160 litre pot. And it's also doing really nicely, and we will start stringing that up as well. But we can see that it's got quite a nice size stem already, so I'm happy with that. And the leaves are looking healthy, lots of dense foliage inside there, and we've got a few little flowers coming through. That also, like I said, is a Dorset Naga, so very happy with that. Let's go take a look inside the polytunnel. That's where I have my hydroponic stuff, and you can see that's also not done extremely well. But let me close up here because the chickens will get in there, and then I'll have messes to clean up. But the polytunnel, yeah, it's been a bit problematic. These plants, I'm sure they will catch up once that root system gets big enough, but I think, again, I probably put these in here way too late. But we can see some of them are suffering quite a bit. This one here, keep wetting the top there because the root system is not very deep. I don't know that that's going to survive. And these others aren't looking brilliant. But once that root system catches on and it gets deep enough, then I think we're going to have some amazing growth in here. As we did last year. Last year was pretty impressive once they got going. I need to do something a bit different next year when I start my plants. At least they're still healthy. But I'll do something a bit different when I start my hydroponics plants next year to try and encourage much bigger root system before I stick them in here. I might actually bring my hydroponics trays out into the greenhouse or into the polytunnel earlier on in the season, and I don't know, kind of pot them up into bigger supports before I go and put them into here. But I'll have a think about that. Over here are some of my plants that are planted directly into the soil. These are raised beds. We've got a raised bed down there, one over here, and we've got some fruit coming through already. More marigolds again for the hoverflies and ladybugs. Yeah, we've got a lot of fruit coming through. I had a bit of a ant infestation, which is why you see these here. I took the advice of a few of you on a previous video and have mixed in borax with a ton of sugar, and it seems to have taken care of them, although they are back again with a vengeance, it seems. Those, oh man, there's a heck of a nest down there, but yeah, I'll have to put some more of this bait down. They seem to eat it all. Lots of dead ants around there, but then this calms down, and then a few weeks later we suddenly have ants, and it seems like flying ants as well. These are wings. We had some down here as well, which have definitely gone, so that's good. But yeah, that one still needs to be taken care of. You can see we had some down here too. Are they all gone? Yeah, there's no ants on this side, so it's just this here. There must be a hell of a nest down there. So this here, when I planted it, actually it got eaten right down to the stem. That was the ants actually doing that. I've never seen ants attack it, so I don't know, it might have been something else, but it did look like ants because the ants were surrounding here. There were loads and loads, but it seems to be recovering. I'll just leave it go. I was going to take it out, but I thought, let's just see what it does. See if it does recover somewhat. There's a big old fruit on there. Let's see what that is. Criolla de Cochina. That's a capsicum annuum, and see what that is. I don't think I've grown that before. And then this one over here, this is going to be for my big and tall competition. It is one of my spaghetti chilies, and you can see I already have a long one coming through there, but it needs to be a lot longer to compete with you guys. Last year was well over 30 centimeters, or 12 inches. So yeah, that's only a baby. We've got to get this plant to grow a lot more. Wow, it's warm in there. The polytunnel seems to really get warmer than the greenhouses, a lot warmer. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I finally got to get an update on my CCLemonPiri cross. It's doing nicely. I'm happy with the progress so far, and I'm so excited to get it to a stable F7, which hopefully shouldn't be too long. If next year's weather goes the way I think it will, I'll be able to do 2 or 3 generations. But the rest of the plants, they will be catching up nicely if this weather continues as it is right now. I'm going to go inside, have a tall glass of water and cool down a bit. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that your season is going fantastically. Until the next episode, stay spicy.